Well, hi, my investor savvy friends. This is Ken Renner, real estate broker here in North Austin, Central Texas. And I just wanted to introduce, I'm honored to introduce a very good friend of mine and also an excellent on-site agent that we've worked together for several years on helping our investors build portfolios with this particular builder. And the builder today that we're going to be talking to, of course, is, I believe, the second largest builder in the United States, which is Lennar Homes. They are the biggest in the region we're going to be talking about today, which is in the San Antonio, New Braunfels region, just south of Austin. And so, talking about the way we're going to talk about how the fiscal year works with Lennar and where the benefits are, where you can get some really, really good deals as we go into the year end. We're also going to be talking about how we work together to be able to pull our team in to network really, really well with Kimberly, and why you want to work, when you want to plug in with our network, our system here, rather than trying to do it yourself, because we've got the system down, and that's the whole thing. It's going to save you time, money, plus you're going to be able to jump on the best deal. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process of how, once you're excited about finding a particular property with us, how we want to get you pre-approved and get you dialed in before the weekend hits, as we were just talking about a little bit earlier. The reason I'm saying that is that Lennar is the biggest builder in the San Antonio area with about 40 subdivisions total.
Right.
They have, so some of those are higher end. They're not like in our investor realm, but they have a lot of in our investor realm. But out of 40 subdivisions, only about 12 that you and I concentrate on, because they fit our avatar for size of home, rental, all that kind of stuff, desirability. And then we narrow it down to 3 or 4 subdivisions that we do most of our business in, because it's a tried and true process. So here's all the different. I get these sheets from Kimberly every other day, and we follow the inventory. And we're going to explain a little bit how the inventory works. But first, I want to introduce Kimberly and to tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with Lennar, and how's San Antonio doing these days?
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me on. So I've been with Lennar for 10 years.
Okay.
I actually started out in the office, so I've had a little bit of the background as well, as far as how we build the homes, and been on the sales side for 6 years.
Okay.
And you and I have been working together for about 4, going on 4.
Yeah, since pandemic started, and so yeah, we've got quite a run. We've done several dozen properties.
Yeah.
All of them are up and running and managed. And I guess down in San Antonio, I counted. There's been over nearly 100 properties that we've done for San Antonio and New Braunfels, because the numbers work so well.
Yeah.
But the numbers don't work for every subdivision everywhere, and that's part of the thing that we help our investors really cherry pick and hone in. What are the best floor plans that work? What are the ones that are not moving? And we're talking about when it's time to lease the properties. Which ones are
Right.
sitting? Which ones are the ones that go quickest? We are very close with our leasing agents to make sure that we're not flooding any kind of market with homes that are hard to rent. Which subdivisions are the ones that have the best response? Where are the tax rates the lowest? And what about the association dues? These are all things that we put together by pulling it off the sheet and then putting them into pro formas, which allows you to compare properties to properties. And so one of the things that we were just talking earlier before the interview here was that there are certain homes that are really hot right now for rental. And in a lot of our smaller, in these big giant subdivisions, a lot of smaller homes now under 1,500 square feet are getting more attention, getting leased up quicker, and getting more dollar per square foot than the slightly larger ones. And we're talking about, I like the 1,700 square foot, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 1 stories. But our leasing agents are saying that's what everybody else likes. So there's a lot of them in these different areas. And then we narrow it down and we look at, oh gosh, the ones that are under 1,500 square feet, people are coming out of duplexes and out of apartments, and they're renting them like hotcakes. So this is just an ongoing day-to-day basis of not only where do we throw the dart, but also what about the desirability and the rentability of the property, so we have short vacancy. That's our number one concern, is making sure that the properties get rented right away. And so we have all kinds of strategies in that. And what we pretty much pride ourselves as being a turnkey investor provider. So to really, we're going to walk through the process, and Kimberly can walk. I'll let her walk through the Lennar process and why there's an urgency to get pre-approved and get going. Before we get into that, I want you also to tell me a little bit about how the pricing works in the subdivisions. We have different levels on the spreadsheets that we get, different stages of completion. Tell me how that works, because it could make the difference between a $20,000 discount and a $40,000 discount.
Correct. So kind of think of it as aged inventory. Even though they're all brand new homes, they go by their start date or their birth date. And what I try to sometimes explain to a buyer is when you go to the grocery store and you see that package of steaks that has that use by date or freeze by and it's reduced, kind of how our homes work in a sense. The home that's going to close soonest has that bigger price reduction. Could be the exact same home across the street, but it's going to close a week or 2 weeks later. Even just a couple days can make a difference. In the system, the one that's older gets the biggest price reduction. And so that's kind of how our pricing works. I can have the same home in one community and another community on the far south side of San Antonio. It could be lower priced. However, the desirability is completely different. So that same home from community to community could be priced different as well, even if they have the same close dates, based on what is, proximity to shopping, to the freeways, to does that community have amenities? That kind of all plays into the pricing.
Yeah, and for us as investors, all that's really important, but also what about the tax rate? Because our tax rate runs anywhere from a 1.46 on up to a 2.4. And that's a big difference. A 1% difference in tax rate on a $300,000 house is $3,000 a year in taxes. That starts to add up, $280 a month. So tax rate's important. HOA dues are important. We analyze all this stuff for you. And so that's the big point is, especially in these popular subdivisions, the ones that have the biggest discounts are the ones that go the quickest, because we have almost 40 subdivisions. We have 87 Lennar agents working on staff for Lennar selling the same product. They're all in competition with each other, and they all have their own agents, right? So they all have their own realtors and people they work with and investors. So you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of active buyers in the market. Thousands could be potentially that are looking at the same thing we're looking at. And so that's why we're encouraging, because we've experienced it time and time again when we have all of a sudden a $40,000 discount on this one house in this great community. That's going to be the one that's going to go next. Correct. So just recently, Kimberly and I had a repeat client, and they go, "Yeah, we like that one." Well, they waited a little bit, because you want to get we'll talk about the process, but they didn't get pre-approved on time. They had baseball and stuff with the kids, and they're like, "Okay, great." Well, then they go, "We decided on this one." And it was like, "Oh, that one just sold." Okay, then, well, this one's almost equal. In fact, I like it better for this reason. We went, "Well, let's take that one." She's like, "Okay, we got it. We're already pre-approved, ready to do. Here's the sign the electronic signature." Oh, it's gone, because until you're pre-approved, the contract signed, the money's wired, all bets are off. Anybody can take it. We've done this dance. We did get them a really nice home, which was comparable to the others, but I've seen prices change, not only down 5,000 or 10,000 in a day or two, but also up.
Absolutely.
And
and sometimes, and I have no idea how algorithms work, but if we have a hot community, which that one was on that weekend, if 3 or 4 homes sell within that same collection, it can trigger a price increase instead of the decrease.
And even the particular floor plan, right?
Yeah.
If they sold a whole bunch of Drexels, then they're like, "Oh, Drexels are popular. We're raising the price on that." But the plans are still down here. So management's and whatever AI they're using, Lennar has their own methodology, and they do not disclose it to their sales agents. They just kind of
No, they do not. No. And then the other thing too is, like, we focus on the investor, but this price range of home is targeting that first-time home buyer as well.
Yeah.
And as long as they can qualify for a home, which many times they cannot, which is where the investor comes in and benefits, because Not everybody can qualify for a mortgage. And so that's why there's always going to be a tenant in need of a home. But I'm also competing against another sales agent selling to a first-time buyer. So it's a very desirable price point that we are targeting for our investors as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what we've been chasing. The good news is that you do have lots of inventory. It's just that there's this that gets very thin pickings on which ones are those really, really good deals. And like I said, when you work with me and Kimberly, especially after we had our initial interviews and things like that, I don't mind connecting you directly with her because sometimes I may not get till looking at the sheet until this afternoon. And this morning, one really came out as a great deal. You're going to want to jump on it. And so, that what we do is we kind of stick with the same floor plans. We
Mhm.
just have different subdivisions based on the pricing, and also competition. We look at the other competing, um, how many investors are in here right now? We look at that because if it gets too many investors in one area, we're like, well, let's take the foot off the gas pedal and we'll go over to this neighborhood so we can let that one kind of work through the inventory. Right now, we're not seeing a whole lot of glut on the rental market, at least in the price points and the size of homes that we're looking at. So, and then also tell me about the incredible interest rates, which has been the big player here is your national forward commitment money, which no other
Correct.
builder that we've been working with and of this scale has offered that kind of interest rates of between 4.9 and 9 and 5.25.
Yeah. And they sometimes even lower, depending on, are they going to go with 25% down and what's the credit at? I think most recently we got down to a 4.875 on an investment rate, which
Right. 30-year
that's what
fixed.
30-year fixed. Yeah. That's what a primary resident is hard pressed to find.
Yeah.
And then because of their investment properties, we as the seller are capped at contributing 2% towards the closing costs.
Right.
So we are able to contribute some, which helps. So
Plus
it's
title policy, which is
yeah,
another almost
and
1%.
title policy, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Yeah, so that's really kind of what I wanted to say is that you don't want to call the 800 number at Lennar because you're going to get a hold of an agent that they're going to assign you somebody randomly. If you don't have an agent or you haven't told them you're working with me, they're going to assign you to somebody who's the next one on call. They don't know who I am. They don't know my team. They don't know my property managers. They don't know the utility companies that we're dealing with as much as we do in these neighborhoods that we're dealing on a day-to-day basis. Also, they don't have that relationship that we have, that there's an urgency involved because of the pricing. So you may just be another one of their particular leads, whereas for us, you're our client. And so we want to make sure that
Right.
you're on the leading edge. And we were talking about, we see a lot of people get pre-approved on Friday because they're going into the weekend. And because you don't want to be trying to track down a loan officer on the weekend if you don't have to, and do your application so you can put your contract in. Better to start earlier in the week, get your pre-approval, and then don't wait till the weekend because that's when everybody else is out looking. Try to get in before the weekend. And we're always doing the same thing. Every Monday morning, we're like, okay, what's sold, what's
Yeah.
left, and then what's coming back on the market. And you and I both agreed after looking at this list. This list with our 12 favorite subdivisions used to be 5 pages long, single
Yeah.
space. We're down
Yeah.
to 2.5 pages. This is actually all there is in San Antonio in our target price range in our target subdivisions. We got a lot more that we have in one of our favorite areas, which is New Braunfels, Seguin area, which is in between San Antonio and Austin.
Right.
So
And actually, there's more inventory. However, we're targeting our fiscal year closings,
yes, that's right.
which are going to have the better price reductions on them. And so that's why that list has dwindled. Because unlike many companies, Lennar's fiscal year ends in November, not December.
Right.
So we are fiscal year, not calendar year. And who knows what'll happen in December? Incentives could go away drastically, prices could jump.
We've seen it.
So I target that just for our November because that's That's what the focus is
So
those November
nationally,
closings.
here's the thing I've learned because I worked with all the big builders, D.R. Horton, all the biggies. What nationally, when they're looking for their fiscal year end, which is November 30th, or D.R. Horton's is September 30th, they all have different dates on their closing. They're looking to Texas for numbers, not for volume, not margin. So they're looking for to get our national numbers up. We know we can sell a whole bunch of properties at these lower price points out in San Antonio, whereas other parts of the country that are higher priced, California and these other places that Lennar builds, they're looking for the margins. And so once the fiscal year is over and they met their volume and met their margin numbers, they're going to go after more margins. So they're going to raise the prices, and because they're not worried about the volume. So it's a fascinating game that we play, and it's not your typical, it's not your typical. Let's go find a home for you, and then this is like something we have to follow. But it's been so beneficial to our clients. We've had people coming in at 20% discount during fiscal year, and what was 240 is now 200. So and these are
Yeah.
great areas, great homes. We're really excited about it, and we're glad to be partnering with Kimberly Durbin. And I'm going to go ahead and let her give you the contact information for her. I also want to make sure when we send our emails out, if you're going to apply for financing, which is would be the next step, if you're really excited about, working and going through these different floor plans with me, even if you haven't chosen a house, get pre-approved, so that that's out of the way, but you don't want to just randomly go apply at Lennar Mortgage. You want to use her loan officer, because she'll call that loan officer and say, Bob just applied for the loan. Put him at the top of the stack. We're ready to write a contract. And that way you're all these the loans that they're getting, all these applications, yours goes right to the top. So there's all the insider things, insider knowledge, including houses that come back on the market that nobody knows about, but she knows about them because it just came back on the market, hasn't even hit the spreadsheets yet. So this is
Or the
kind
website.
of, yeah. So go ahead and give us your contact info, and make sure you contact her or me first before going to going into Lennar's for subdivisions, or to get your financing approved, so we can get you the right loan officer that knows what we do.
Perfect. Thank you. So it's my email, kimberly.durbin@lennar.com.
Durben.
Ben.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And yeah, like you were saying, we actually have loan officers that work sometimes after hours, and we have them on call for the weekends. But to your point, if we got pre-approved ahead of the weekend, then we are one step closer to that person that just walks in to look at that home. We are already approved, and once we narrow down that home, we can write on it. I hate to sound like a used car salesman, but our homes go extremely quickly because of the fact that there's 87 of us out there that at any time can sell that same one home. Absolutely.
That's a good
The
sign.
loan process, super easy. It just takes the length of completing that application and uploading some documents. Once it is submitted to my lender, who is Dominic Valadez, once it goes to his link, I just ask that you notify me that it's ready for review, that it's been submitted, because it's just going to sit in that queue. Like you said, I have to let him know, hey, pull this one up to the top.
Right.
And usually within less than an hour, they're able to get that pre-approval. So
Great.
we do get it back very quickly.
Okay.
Very quickly.
Well, great. We look forward to your fiscal year end. It was a great 2024, all things considered, and we're looking for a great 2025 as hopefully our interest rates continue to drop, and love seeing those rates for 30-year fixed investors in the 4s and the 5s or low 5s. So,
Absolutely. May I just touch one other thing
yes.
that you mentioned earlier? And this is on your team.
Yeah.
We work well as a team, but Kenn, your team is just phenomenal, especially with your investors being out of state. You've got Sabrina, boots on the ground, that does those walkthroughs for those buyers. She walks into those homes. We coordinate directly with her. She walks in and she is in and out. She knows what she's looking for. She has great relationship with a lot of our construction managers.
Yes.
And she is a fantastic resource that you are blessed to have.
Yeah.
And then, all the way down to everyone, Linda, your team that does all the pro
The property
formas and
management and the
everything.
leasing and getting the utilities hooked up and doing sprinkler
Absolutely.
systems and getting the refrigerators ordered and all the stuff that
Yep.
happens post. I'll be doing another quick video on that process specifically for Lennar Homes. But we've got it down to a science, and now
Yep.
it's just a matter of getting our clients to jump on board and start picking out some properties because there's some really good values. And I'm really excited to see what's going to happen for our clients as well as you. Yeah, everybody's been really, really happy with the process. And so you make it really easy to have a point person that we can go to, especially when it comes to this extensive menagerie of homes that we have to weed ourselves through. So I appreciate you. We'll hope to get a bunch of fiscal year under our belt so that we can help people save a lot of money and get some built-in
Awesome.
equity. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Kenn Renner, real estate broker here in Central Texas, 512-423-5626. Kimberly, what's your phone number?
210-326-3429.
Okay, awesome. All right. Have a great weekend. Talk to you
You
soon.
too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.